Well, hello everybody, it's Kathy again and Rosie Vesperina. And in this video we are riding from Caves Beach back to home. And it's actually kind of a continuation on from the ride to Newcastle. But I accidentally forgot to record the ride from Newcastle. So once we got to Newcastle we went to the AMX shop. We had a little look around in there and a couple of us bought some things. I did not buy anything, which is unusual for me. I'm still on the lookout for the most perfect gloves, but I can't quite find them. I kind of have big man hands and long fingers and I just can't get the right fit. But anyway, I'll keep looking. So we rode from Newcastle to Caves Beach, and in my head I thought, oh, we'll stop once we leave the AMX shop, and I'll have an opportunity to set up my cameras again. But for some reason that didn't happen, and so I missed recording that section from Newcastle to Caves Beach. The other thing that happened just as I was leaving Caves Beach was my Garmin Zumo ran out of battery, and I do have a USB plug in the front glove box of Rosie, and so I plugged it in, but it didn't charge, and it was only when I got home that I realized that it had fallen out of the plug in the back of the GPS, because when I plugged it in properly when I got home it worked and it charged. So I was riding a bit blind, which, as I've said before, I'm a bit spatially challenged, so I had to make sure that I kept up with everybody. So that made it just a little bit tricky. So some people live up this way that were riding in the group, and so what we have left in the group for the trip home is Sam and Marie at the front, and Mia, and then myself and Fee behind me. But a little further up ahead Mia will turn off because she lives kind of in this direction up here, and it will just be Sam, Marie, myself and Fee on the ride back. So we're in a 70k zone. I think the other little tricky part about this was on the Garmin, the GPS device, it tells me what the speed limit is in the area that I'm in as I'm riding, and so I realized how much I'd gotten used to seeing that, and so I felt like I was a little bit lost and I didn't know what I was doing, which is not ideal. But I think it's about 70 or 80, though I noticed that the others are quite a way ahead of me, so maybe it's 90 and I've not realised it. Oh, is there a sign there? Oh, there, I think that said it was 90, so I potentially was doing 70 maybe, or 80, so maybe I was just a bit under the speed limit. But the afternoon was just as beautiful as this morning. You can see in the sky it's completely clear, not a cloud after an enormous amount of rain that we've had recently. So it was just so nice to be out and riding. I did notice that as the day progressed, and this was after lunch, we had lunch at Caves Beach, and a really lovely lunch. So if you're ever up that way, there's some kind of resort there that's huge, and the bistro in it has a really, really broad menu, and so you can choose anything that you like, and it's reasonably priced, nice people, so definitely worth a stop there if you're hungry and you're up in that direction. I'm not sure how many kilometres north of me it is, but I will have a look on the maps to clarify that. I think in this section we are still heading on to the Pacific Highway and heading towards the entrance, and the entrance is where we have the beach on one side and the lake on the other. So even though I'm spatially challenged, I think as we're riding along here, the beach is on our left, and the lake would be on our right. I could be completely wrong about that, but we'll see. Not too many cars, which is nice for this time of day. I certainly felt really tired by the time I'd kind of almost got home. I think because the whole day was the biggest ride that I've ever done. Lots of concentration, obviously, more concentration than when you're driving, watching the road, watching the condition of the road, watching the other cars on the road, watching out for where your fellow riding buddies are to make sure they're doing okay. It's a lot of concentration, and it can be really tiring. So that was a good lesson for me too, I guess, about knowing what my limits are in terms of distance of riding. And I hadn't had a good night's sleep the night before, so all of those things impact. I get really tired eyes, they feel a bit gritty, and I certainly felt that way as I was riding home. So I can tell when the brain and the body are getting a bit weary. But it was still just lovely. I'm just going to try and be quiet for a little while now and just enjoy the scenery. Did I mention in my last video that I brought myself a new jacket? I'm not wearing it in this one because it's still a little bit cold, but I brought myself a kind of a spring-ish jacket that is a very vibrant red, similar to the colour of Rosie, and I can't wait to wear it. So maybe when I do the next video, I will do a little bit of a show and tell of the cool jacket. I wanted red because I actually would have gone white as well if I could have. But what I want to be is more visible on the road. And Rosie's quite visible because she's so bright red. And now I've got my P plate, so I've got a lovely red and white P plate on the back. But my jacket that I currently use is black and the helmet is black. And so I thought I might just get a red jacket so that I stand out on the road just that little bit more. And it's lovely. It's a little bit more firmer fitting though, so I can't fit the amount of layers underneath that I had on this day. So on this ride I had a woolen singlet, a merino wool singlet, a merino wool long sleeve base layer, and then I had a puffer jacket, and then I had my riding jacket on top of that. That's a lot of layers, and at no time when I was riding did I feel too hot, so I obviously needed all of that. I also had some thin merino thermals on underneath my pants as well. So clearly it was cold even though the sun was shining. Here's my favourite bridge over the entrance, so ocean to our left and lake area to our right. We've been over this bridge quite a few times throughout all the videos that I've done, so it's becoming a bit of a favourite. It has some kind of potholey things in the middle, and I always try to swerve either to the left or the right. If there's no cars coming, I'll swerve to the right, but if there's cars coming, then obviously I'll swerve to the left so I don't end up crashing into them. But yes, back to the jacket. I think maybe in the next video I will do a little show and tell of the lovely jacket. You can tell now the sun's gone down that little bit more. I think I'm now a little bit closer to home. I think this is heading on the way down past the grammar school and up to Erina, and so the sun's gone down, and this is when we go over this crest, it might brighten up a bit, but yeah, it's just getting that little bit later. This is another one of my favourite roads, apart from the graded bits that I've spoken about before in lots of videos. I wonder if they put them there to slow down the bikes, because it's 60 kilometres an hour along this road, but really if you're on a proper motorbike, not like Rosie's a scooter, I guess, but if you're on a big motorbike, it would be so tempting to go so much faster, because it's windy and it's got some little hills or little ups and downs, and it would be a lot of fun going faster. Not that I would, because I can only go 90 as my top speed, and this area is 60, but I'm just thinking about what it must be like for really experienced riders, how tempting it must be along this road to go that little bit faster. We just went past the Ken Duncan gallery, which is on our left, and I don't know whether I've mentioned this before, but there's a little cafe in there, and they make the most delicious little baby Persian love cakes. They are not too sweet. They've got a little bit of a savoury hint to them, and oh my gosh, they are so delicious, and the icing delicious. Everything about them is delicious. So if you ever go to the Ken Duncan gallery, have a little Persian love cake with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. I don't drink coffee, but a little cup of tea. Here we are going through Gosford now. I was reflecting coming back through this section during this ride on back in January when I first got my L's, and you'll know this little area is very close to home, and there's a lovely little spot by the waterfront where my partner and I sometimes go down in the summertime, bring our dinner down, and we just sit and watch the sunset on the water. And I was reflecting about how in January when I first got my L's, how nerve-wracking that ride was to get down to the waterfront and get back home again. And now it just seems like second nature to ride along this road and down past the waterfront. It's just funny how, you know, that repetition of riding helps you to build your confidence and your skills. Not too overconfident. I don't know that I'll ever be overconfident, because I'm hyper aware and very cautious, but it's really nice the way your skills develop. Now I got to this point and I realized that my light was on to say I was out of petrol. Poor old Rosie was thirsty, and so I've taken a little detour to head down to the petrol station. So what I learnt was that I had a full tank when I left home this morning on this ride, and empty when I got back. So we're just popping into the petrol station now. So that means that a full tank will get me all the way to Newcastle and then home again, which is really good to know, because it's hard to know just how far you can get on a tank. I think the tank is 7 litres, but then it says 7 litres plus 2 reserve, and I don't really know what that means. But anyway, we've filled up with petrol, and the sun is almost going down, and this is just the quick little ride back on the other street back to my place. We go past a couple of car yards and a petrol station. Pretty quiet now. I think it's probably around, I don't know, I want to say maybe around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun's quite low, isn't it? And because I don't have the GPS and I can't see what the time is. I still haven't fixed Rosie's clock, and it's so temperamental, and I've seen other videos of people trying to accurately reset the clock, but it's so fiddly getting into the settings through the menu. Vespa, it would be lovely if you could do something about that little tricky thing. So here we go, back up that hill that I've spoken about before, and again back in January when I was a really nervous rider. This road was always a bit scary for me, but now it feels fine. I don't feel that nervous on it at all. Going down the other side, I still stick to about 40 k's because I don't trust my brakes as much as I probably should or could, so I'm just a little bit cautious. I'm cautious about a lot of things though. I think it comes with old age. So down to our roundabout near home. Little right turn up here, past the school, and we're just about home. So thank you for watching. The next video I do, I am going to just film it directly onto the DJI Osmo 360 camera. I'm not sure what the view looks like, but I think I need to test it out properly. I've got lots of footage from these last few rides, but I want to try it as the main filming and see what sort of view we get. So we'll try that next time. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.